Hello everyone, this is the Emerald here, and today I'm going to be talking about, honestly, one of the biggest letdowns of possibly what's going to be in this game's history, as of right now anyway. And that is going to be the newest character upcoming in 2.6, the 5-star imaginary Erudition character, Rappa. Now, let's get this straight off the way. Don't even think about setting for this character unless you really like the character design or you just like the idea of what the character might be. This is not worth your time. It's just not, okay? Kit alone, she is just awful. I think she's just really bad, especially now, and it just clearly is not hitting off in the way it is. And I also want to use this video as a tangent on the future of at least the Erudition path, at least what I think of it. So, the biggest thing here, we have Rappa. We're going to be going into kits on the character. So, we'll go into talk about like the versions that she went through and all the biggest changes that she underwent. If you do not want spoilers, I recommend clicking out this video now because I am going to be showing off leaks and kits for the future character. Now, obviously, this is not final, but since it's holiday, I don't think we're going to see an actual big update to this character, and even so, I don't think there's enough for them to make this character even worth me going, you have a chance of summoning, or I wouldn't be surprised if you summoned. I doubt they do that. So, let's quickly talk into her version 2 kit, when she first got her big change a week after the beta started. So honestly, this patch was okay, right? Like, there were a couple of nerfs here and there, but overall, I think it was just fine, right? This was basically rewordings. This, I think, was more rewordings, I believe. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I believe there's just rewordings. This one, they actually buffed the amount of damage she did, which is pretty solid. I like that a lot. There is a hidden stat, but this was mainly based off the attack, so they changed it. This is more rewordings. This is more rewordings. And then this is more rewordings. A bunch of it was just rewordings. So, nothing too big, right? Version 2 was just rework, right? And it was like, but the problem was, okay, everyone was like, okay, the problem was her ultimate at this point costed 160. That is the max amount of that ult charge we have that you had to get to use. Like, Yun Li has, I believe, it's about 240, but you can use 120 of it early. RGT has 180 max, but you only need 90 to proc it for the first time. And also, I honestly don't think it's really that bad to get his ultimate because his AoE gives a lot. So there's that. So the biggest call here was make her damage a little higher and reduce the ult cost. So in version 3, we actually did get that. They lowered the ultimate by 10 energy, but at a really big cost. So the talent actually got heavily changed. So before, it was whenever an enemy's target weakness was broken, she dealt 10 toughness reduction that ignores weakness type to adjacent targets, and you dealt break damage to a percentage of her imaginary break damage, which is really good. This toughness reducing effect is only effective against enemy targets that are not weakness broken, obviously, and when you break them, you trigger the imaginary weakness break effect. That was actually really solid, especially since in her ultimate she had a lot of blast and AoE hits that she could use to break a lot of enemies. It was really solid. Now, in version 3, it was changed to this. When enemy targets' weaknesses are broken, she deals break damage equal to 180% of her break damage, and then it additionally bounced twice. Each instance of damage deals break damage equal to 75% of her break damage and 5 toughness reduction regardless of weakness type to random enemy units. And then it'll basically prioritize anyone with higher than 0 toughness, and when it does like this, you trigger a reaction with this. This went from the 10 to 20 at max of toughness reduction to now 10 randomly. This is a really not great change, mainly because of the fact that you don't know where this was going to go. So if it went to the wrong unit, well, tough luck. You're out of luck. At the very least, though, at least you did get some extra break damage, which was nice, but I really did wish this wasn't randomized, right? Technique was actually nerfed because they lowered the amount of energy, but honestly, again, this isn't the biggest deal in the world, especially it's only 5 energy, and having the cost lower was more important, so this was honestly not the biggest deal. Then this, I believe, was just rewards, yes. They got rid of the hidden stats here. I think they moved them, I believe. From this, they actually did change the trace too of trace 1. Before, it was when an enemy target's weakness gets broken, Rappa regenerates 2 energy. If the target is an elite, she generates 8 energy. Ugh. Now it became when the weakness of elite enemy targets are greater is broken, Rappa regenerates 10 energy. This, you can look, so in the idea of, oh, we break an elite enemy, you get the same amount of energy. but now you don't get the energy of just breaking anything, which means you don't get as much energy. So you see the problem? In turn for lowering the ult, they got rid of most of her ways of getting energy. So what was the point of lowering the ultimate in the first place, right? I believe this stayed the same. Yeah, I believe this is just rewords. Yeah, this is just rewordings. This stayed the same, I believe. Yeah, that's the same. I believe this actually did get changed, yes. E2 got changed, where it, instead of additionally increasing your break effect by 20%, and then you increase the tough reduction effect of enhanced basics without measuring weakness by 50%, now it was the tough reduction of the first 2 hits of the enhanced base attack against the designated enemy unit increased by 50%. Why? Now, to be fair, if they have imaginary weakness, this is really good, right? But unfortunately, Rappa doesn't have weakness implants in her skill or anything, and it's nowhere in her kit. So if they don't have imaginary weakness, tough luck, this isn't as useful. And E6 was heavily changed to account for the balance. So before it increased the break damage multiplier of the initial talent, and the break damage and tough destruction applied to all enemies. So at E6, she became a break god. Now, with version 3, it changed to it heavily increased the break damage multiplier to 400%, and the number of additional instances of damage increased by 1, so you get 3 bounces instead of 2. It was nice, but at least the very least it was here. But as you can see, because they lowered the ultimate by 10 energy, they saw it necessary to screw over a lot of her kit. They got rid of her really good break potential here, and then they removed a bit of energy here, and her biggest way of getting energy from here. So there was that. And honestly, still to this day, the ultimate was still it was still kind of expensive. 150 is still a bit expensive, but it was a little bit better. But in version 4, we would get another energy reduction. And I feared, oh god, will they actually hurt her again? And they did. So I should mention here that before the patch, she had about 102 speed with a 9 speed in her traces. So she got about 111 max. Not anymore. They took away 6 of her speed, so now you can only go up to about 105 instead of 111, which is significant for the character. They did increase her base attack though, which is sure, I guess that's fine for the biggest in the world, especially since she needs it. But man, wasn't that great a deal. They did lower the ult again, but as you could expect, they completely changed her talent a second time. Because of course, now it goes based off charges. When enemies' target's weakness are broken, Rappa gains a charge, max of 10. The next time Rappa performs the 3rd hit of Demon Bane Pedal Blade, so for context, in her ultimate, she will do 3 hits, the first 2 being blast and the 3rd being an AoE. This is referring to that very last AoE hit. Additionally, deals break damage equal to 60% of her imaginary break damage to all enemy targets. This effect reduces 2 toughness regardless of type, but you also can use all your charges, and each charge increases the damage multiplier by 50% and toughness reduction by 1. So to get the 10 that you wanted, you need 8 charges. Were you getting 8 charges? Probably not. You probably weren't getting 8 charges that easily. And you probably won't. Because if they don't have imaginary weakness, tough luck, buddy. I just don't really get the change in this. This doesn't make sense to me. Right? They changed her talent completely over again, but I guess they thought this was too broken at 140, so they had to change to this, and now there's a video going around that E6 Rappa can't 0 cycle the MOC, which is a really bad look, right? So there's that. We'll also talk about the Lycon, because Lycon got a really bad change. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So the technique lost 5 energy. You would expect this. Trace 1, she gets a charge when she breaks an elite enemy target or greater, and gets 10 energy, which she always had. So now you really want to break this elite enemy, right? Which, sure, but again, okay, once you break them, if they don't come back up, you're not getting the max charges again. So that's a problem. They also nerfed this trace. Before, you could get a max of 15% increased break damage. Now it's only 10%, I believe, with the same amount of attack. So you need 3200 attack to reach this amount, and you got 50% from before. Now it's only 10%. So they took away 5%. Why? Who knows? Who knows? E6 got changed as a result because they completely changed the talents again. So instead of this, they gave her 5 charges when entering combat, and her max charge number of charges increased by 5%, or 5, and gain 5 charges after performing a third hit of Nigurian Bane Petal Blade. I guess it's better than nothing, but this is E6. Remember, this is E6, so it's not really worth it. I ain't gonna lie to you. So that's that. I also want to pull up one other thing. Her life code got heavily changed too. I might not be able to find this because I don't think I downloaded the thing. But for context, in 2.6, her light cone got buffed to a significant degree. Not a significant degree, I wouldn't say that, but it got buffed regardless, which is really good. Let me see if I can find it here. It's gonna take a little bit. So all you need to know is that the light cone got buffed. So before, I can actually pull it up here while I have it up. So here's the thing here. Let's go to version 3. So version 3 had break effect and energy, but they actually increased the amount of action that she gets on ultimate from 60, 70, 80, and 100. Now, they lowered it. Why? I can only presume they thought that she was spamming her ultimate too much. But even still, the only way to get that is with like S3 and on. So I guess in a whale perspective, I guess they thought it should have been too busted, but they wailed for the character. I feel like it's deserved. That's like saying, okay, we're gonna nerf E6 Firefly to not do as much damage. It's like, bro, they went out with E6. Why are you nerfing it? So there's this is a very questionable change at best, and I just don't get it. By the way, all these are coming from HomDG Cat. I don't know how to say it. I'm gonna call him HomDG Cat. So there's that. If you want to know where I got this information from. So yeah, this character is just all over the place. I don't get what they were doing. I really don't. I don't really get what they're doing with this character. And this leads into my big point of Erudition as a whole. I think Erudition as a whole is just questionable. I don't really get it, right? Here, I got it. So, I don't really get the idea of Erudition as a whole, right? Because Erudition was made to deal with a multitude of enemies, right? It was made to deal with multiple weaker enemies, so you can blitz them. That was the whole point of these guys. But at least on release, before even before Jade, right? From Argentine and below, these guys were just not useful. Right? There's nowhere you could really use these guys outside of maybe Jingyuan if you had Sparkle, right? Maybe. But that all changed when we got Pure Fiction in 1.6. Then they made the Erudition characters actually have a use, right? These guys are actually usable in here. Himeko, Herta, Jingyuan, Argentine, they all got boost. Jade right now is a great character for Pure Fiction, right? She demolishes Pure Fiction, right? Absolutely. She's kind of bad everywhere else, but hey, she makes this one content pretty good, so that's good. Rappa is just iffy, right? I think Rappa's just iffy. I don't think she's as great as Jade before Pure Fiction, and I don't really think she's good anywhere else, right? She's not bad, but why go out of your way to go for this break? That's also another thing. Break. Super Break only has one viable team right now. It does. So and it's with Army Trailblazer, Runmei, and a healer of your choice, Gallagher, Linkshot, whatever. You have to at least run that team though, or else Super Break just doesn't work. You at the very least have to run Harmony Trailblazer because that's what Super Break is from. That's where it's coming from. So it's just kind of off-putting. And I feel like Erudition as a whole is just not needed anymore, right? Because if we want Erudition to be able to deal with enemies a bit stronger, well then when you're in the territory of destruction, and destruction is a really strong path. Most of these characters are really powerful, right? Obviously with some exceptions, but these characters are really strong. Firefly is arguably the best character in the game right now, right next to Akron, who is a pseudo-nihility because this game is really weird, and I guess they just didn't like the idea of making a lightning destruction, so take that as you will. Erudition doesn't have a real purpose outside of Pure Fiction, but remember, it's not like these guys are releasing because of Pure Fiction. Pure Fiction released because of them not having a use. That's the whole reason Pure Fiction exists, right? So to see them even just releasing more of these characters just boggles my mind. Because honestly, Himiko, Hura, Jade are good enough, right? Even Jingu and Argentine. And again, you could also just use other characters. For the longest time, I've been using Mono Quantum, Sela, Sparkle, Fushuan, and then Tingyun. And that gets me through content. It sometimes even enough to get me 40k on the one side. So Erudition isn't even like a necessity at times. I still think it's nice to have these guys, but we don't really like, we should stop making characters for this path. There's no reason. Unless they do something incredibly unique and can actually just bulldoze like pure fiction in like 2 seconds. What's the point, really? Like this is just kind of used as a throwaway, right? That's what this path has come down to, right? Like Destruction, one of the best paths in the game. Hunt, you could actually make some pretty good exceptions because some of these are like pretty unique. Boot Hill is a really solid break character. Face Shao and Moze are a really solid fallible tech along with Topaz. Tila really needs a buff, but I don't think we are because Sparkle was her buff and we ain't getting away anytime soon. Like he's, at least at the very least, you can see like where you're going with this, right? Harmony, do I have to say anything? It's Harmony. This is like the whole reason we can play this game, right? Robin, Sparkle, Ranmei, these three are like the backbones of teams. Alongside Harmony and Trailblazer, they're backbones. They're so inhumanely good that if we took them away, we'd be fundamentally screwed, right? Nihility. I don't really know where this is going. It used to be a dot thing, and then they shifted over to like a pseudo DPS with Akron and Jiaoqiao. So I don't really know what they're going with this, but we could see, like, this is mainly debuffs, right? If they go the debuff path, this I could see being solid, right? And remember, Dot is also just that 1 or 2 characters off from being like a really solid team, right? Preservation, one of the biggest sustain categories in the game, alongside Abundance. These are just to keep you alive, right? Obviously, if you didn't have these, enemies would just probably 3-shot you and then you quit, right? Like, that's it. Unless you have, like, Hyper Carry, Robin, and Bronya, right? These guys are necessary. What purpose do you have with Erudition? Like, what are these guys bringing to the table that should fundamentally to make you go, oh yeah, I really need this character? The answer is nothing. The answer is really nothing. And I feel like that's the problem. I don't like that this category is just reduced to, man, we really need to throw out a character, but that's what this has been, that's what it's become, right? That's what has happened. I don't know, I just don't like how Erudition has just become a throwaway path. I think the idea of it was okay, but even from like 1.3, I started to see, this character could be kind of problematic later down the line if we don't get content for it, right? And we did get content, pure fiction, we did get content for it, but then we get other characters like Akron, who could also clear it as easily. So then what's the point of making this if we just get characters like Akron and Firefly who can do it just as easily? Like, you see the problem? I don't really like it. I really don't. I think Jade was the first, like, sign of, ooh, this is what's coming up. Jade is a really cool character. I do like Jade, right? For multiple reasons. You can guess those reasons. But I didn't like that she was, and the worst way, she was quantum. She had the potential to be like what Mono Quantum needs to solidify themselves as like a really nice archetype, right? They were just one solid DPS off, right? And that's what Jade could have been, but she was Erudition, so she immediately became dog water, right? Because her most points were too low, and she was relegated to her fall attack, which if you didn't have E1, you were never seeing. You were almost never seeing unless you got lucky. So yeah, Rappa is kind of in the same boat. This character, you're running it on Super Break, at that point, go for one of the other 2 characters of Boot Hill or Firefly. They are infinitely, and I mean infinitely better than what Rappa is. Rappa is trying to be an AoE Firefly, and that just is not working. It just doesn't work, right? I like the character, I love the design, right? And I will still summon for it. Against my better judgment, I am still summoning for this character. But why? Why? Like, that's all I can really ask is why. Why did we have to release a character like this, right? And why are we making this Erudition path the way it is? I think at this point now, it's not much they can do, right? The only thing they could realistically do is make another game mode specifically tailored around Erudition and nothing else. But I don't think they can do that unless they either A, make it really easy, which that defeats the whole point, or B, make it to where Erudition gets like a huge boost, but in that case it seems kind of unfair for people who skipped out these characters and then you go like, oh, your other characters are kind of bad here, you're now forced on for our characters, right? We don't want to see that, but there's nothing else much we can do for this path outside of relegate to just throw away characters. That's why 2.6 is a really dead patch. There's nothing similar except for maybe the reruns, which we don't know yet. I'm just really disappointed in this release. I really don't like that they just shafted her to just be this. I wish they could have did a little bit better. At least just make her more solid, but the more once you see this image, this icon on a character, you should already fear that they are going to be one of the worst characters ever. At least limited 5-star wise, right? Obviously, for 4 stars, they're nowhere near as bad, but when you compare it to the 5 stars, who is worse? Like limited was. I should mention limited because we took into standard. Yangqing is by far worst, right? But we also look at it DPS wise. Who is worse than Rappa? And probably my answer would probably be just at this point Blade, and maybe the dot characters because they don't have like a solid archetype yet, right? It's not full archetype just yet. Outside of them, I would even say Jinguan has some more usage, right? You could make a solid team composition around him, and you could actually use him in like MOC and stuff. It won't go well, but you have a better shot, right? I think you have a better shot with Sparkle and Crew. That's just what we have come to. That's just what we've come to, right? She's trying to be an AoE version of one of the best characters in the game, and that just doesn't work when you make her significantly worse than the original, right? That's my tangent. I'm not the biggest fan of how they did this, but there's nothing much I can do anymore. I don't think we're getting a version 5 because of they are on holiday right now. So unless they do a last minute version 5 change, like maybe like a week before, expect nothing. Expect nothing more for this character. I think this character is just done, right? So that's it for this video. I just wanted to get that off my chest and to just really just display to you my absolute disappointment in this character and the Erudition path as a whole. So that's it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.